Well, doesn't that look pretty? I call this the Mustang GT as a play on Mustang and Mustake, and it's becoming more and more fitting. The term Mustake is very good because I forgot how much Ford can suck. There's a little bit of ranting and raving in this because I'm frustrated with people and a company and a little bit of everything. So I guess we'll start off with I want a little more performance, and I'm trying to keep this on a budget. Like I didn't want more like $1,500 is what I maximum want to spend on this car, like for everything put together. So what's a good way for cheap performance? So the GT40P heads, but there's a problem with GT40P heads. The spark plug angles are different. So then comes the problem of header fitment, and I'll show you. There, that one's plenty of room. That one, there's maybe a quarter inch, not even a quarter inch between that tube and that plug. So it's like whatever boot you put on there is going to burn. And I've seen spark arc across an inch to hit something metal. That'll be nothing for it to ground against. That one's an issue. That one you could probably get by. And then the rear one, which is hard to see from up here, is not as bad as that, but still pretty rough. On the driver's side here, we got room for days. These are the factory manifolds for the 85 GT. So when I was looking at getting these heads, I was looking it up, and they say, this is going to be an issue. They make headers for it. Okay. I can't find any headers for sale. Okay, that's a problem. So it was making me a little nervous in buying the heads. But then I went on to the forums and like, hey, I got a set of GT40P heads. I'm putting on my 85 Fox body. I need a set of headers. And I get all sorts of people messaging me. I have a set. I have a set. I have a set for sale. I'm like, oh, perfect. Great. Good news. Right? Good to hear. So I purchased the heads. So then I go on there and I start talking to people about purchasing a set of headers. The first guy I talked to, and around the same time I'm looking at other stuff for the car, not just the headers, because I'm probably going to need a radiator. I don't know if it's this corner or the opposite corner that's a little wet. I think it's that corner down there that's a little wet. And I need a tail light. That one's broke. There's a hole here. I can stick my pinky in. And it's cracked. This side's fine. Now, if you noticed, as I'm saying I need all this stuff, I don't have a replacement taillight, I don't have a replacement radiator, and I have no headers. And I picked up an intake. So, frustrated with Ford because, well, this sucks. I mean, well, not this side, but that side. It's like, come on. I'm used to, for years I've owned GM products, so if this was a 305 and a Camaro, throwing in a 350, there's no problems. Ford, there's problems. And all I do is switch the heads. So I guess I'll start off with, I was doing all this all around the same time. So when I'm talking to all these people and, okay, I want to ship them, stuff like this, send them the money, blah, blah, blah. was like $150 for a taillight, another $100 for a radiator, because the one guy I was talking to was a thicker aluminum radiator, and I'm like, you know what? That's like an upgrade. I'll go with that. This intake, and a set of headers. Out of so first was the headers, and the first guy took my money and never sent the headers. A little pissed. All right, that sucks. So talk to another guy. Okay, cool. This guy. So now, like all these other people, I'm asking questions. I want measurements. I want stuff like that. I want to make sure you got the product you're selling me, because apparently the last guy didn't with the first set of headers, and he ripped me off. So when I was getting this intake, it wasn't painted. The guy had a thermostat on it, housing. So no problems, right? I'm like, okay, that all looks good. It's an Edelbrock. What's a Torker intake? Single plane. Kind of wanted a dual plane, but everyone wants a lot of money for dual planes even used. So I'm like, I'll settle for this for now. I can always put the proper intake back on it. Here's my thermostat. Here's it inside. Guy ground it all out. Why? I don't know. So my plan is to make a little plate that will sandwich between basically the same outline as this gasket. I got 2 gaskets. So same outline. So I'm going to need another metal plate like that. That will hold this thermostat in place. Like this housing, the last one was broken. The last one was corroded right in here, and it was eating away at the cast. Because this car is full of radiator stop leak. So that's another reason why I went with an aftermarket intake instead of sticking with the factory one, because now this raises it up. My hood won't fit. All right, some issues like that. I can cut a hole in the hood, no problems. It's not that big of a fitment issue. I mean, that'd be the top of the hood. So I think I can get away with purchasing like a Mustang hood scoop or something like that to kind of cover it a little bit. And I want to run this, so it's me being a little stubborn too. So I get that, find that out. I'm like, well, that sucks. So I'm like, yeah, I'll make the plate issue. I also asked online for some ideas too, in case someone had something better. And someone sent me a link to thermostat housing that goes in line, which is something I saved the link because I might have issues with other vehicles in the future. So it's like, oh, that's a good thing to know of. So like I said, I'm going to make that work in the meantime. I can always put the proper intake down the line on. Get rid of the single plane. So, like I said, I had people send me pictures, and all the other people I talked to, they were sending me pictures, sending me measurements, stuff like that. I would ask, like, how wide is the radiator? Well, it's the same size as what's supposed to be in there. I'm like, I want measurements. And then I get measurements. So I'm like, okay, these people have these products, right? Well, they might have them, but they never shipped them. None of them. I don't have my radiator. I don't have the second set of headers that I tried getting, and I don't have a taillight. So my budget of like $1,500 on this car is gone. $100, $120. Guy wanted $130, $140 for the taillight. First set of headers was like $300. The second set was $250. All of a sudden, before you know it, you're like $800-$900 in, and I have nothing. Considering The car still needs tires. The car still, and I don't even know what else the car needs. Like I figured $1,500. Like I didn't want to spend more because I might have to spend more on the car itself later on. I don't know about the brakes, the suspension, the transmission, the rear differential. For all I know, all that could be junk. So this is probably going to be the end of this project for a while. It's because I don't have money to invest into this car right now. So it's frustrating. Between stock manifolds not working, no one sells headers for this car anymore. They're all discontinued for the GT40P heads. So either I stick the factory crappy ones back in, which I would have to get them like... are these them? Yeah, these are them. Which these don't look too bad. With coolant stop leak. Other than some weird normal corrosion. The intake was really bad. That thing was clogged right tight with the thermostat housing. But it's like I'm going back. I feel like I'd be going backwards. Which is probably what I'll do. Go backwards, go back to stock heads, and maybe send that intake back out. See if I can find someone to clean it up. Maybe stick that back on it. Because if I go with stock heads, there's no point in putting an intake on this car. Or at least not a single plane. A dual plane's one thing, but not a single plane. And just, that's it. I'm so frustrated with this. Frustrated with this and the community for Mustangs. Like, when it comes to car communities, this has so far been the worst community I've dealt with. I'm from Wisconsin. So to find a car here that the fender is solid, right? Here's something rare. There's metal here. It's solid. It's not falling off. The floor pans, like when I took apart the exhaust, the bolts that hold the header, the flanges on for the exhaust, I didn't even need lubricant, and there wasn't rust in my eyes. Like this is rare. This is so rare around here. And so, I got pictures up, right, when I first get the car. And this normally does not bother me. And it wouldn't bother me if it wasn't for all the people trying to rip me off. Well, the people that did rip me off, like I said, I didn't get my taillights, I didn't get nothing. And then some of it I went through PayPal, and then PayPal's like, oh yeah, we don't care, which is even more frustrating. Like, I can't get my money back. If I could get my money back, it'd be different, because now it's like, okay, I'm willing to try again. And PayPal's like, oh yeah, this account's gone, we can't get the money back. It's like, wait, what? Like, that's why I went through PayPal. Like, it's just, everything's been horrible about this. And like PayPal, when you send money, you can send it as like to a family or business. And I made sure with these people, I treated it like a business, so that way, in case they don't give me my product, I can get my money back. And then afterwards, PayPal's like, yeah, too bad. Okay then. So, yeah. So I lost a lot of money on this car. The community's horrible. There's good people out there, but there's more trash than good, which sucks, because like when it comes to other car communities, the Fiero's awesome. Like this is the first time I've experienced people ripping me off for car parts. Like, not a good example, just because I haven't ordered parts for this car yet, other than through the auto parts store. But like, those are all Fiero parts, all of it. Like, I went out and bought a set of rims from a guy, and the guy's like, hey, you need extra parts? Here's a whole bunch of parts. Like, when a guy came and bought an engine from me, I gave him, this is smaller, because I gave him a bunch of parts. Like, here, take it, fix your Fiero. Like, the community's really awesome. The 3000 GT, I bought stuff from those guys, and I got the parts helpful information. Um, the Camaros, both my F bodies, I bought parts for, no problems. This Mustang, that's the only part I received is a junk intake. um, and just a lot of trash talking online. Like, this car's junk. You're dumb. You're stupid. Like, it's, what? Like, where's the support? Like, I left several of these groups just because all they did was trash talk. And I'm like, I'm on like 8 or 9 different Camaro sites, and like, yeah, you get the people who trash talk, but it's just like, it's so much worse on the Mustang pages. It's like you're dealing with a bunch of 12-year-olds. You're a poo-poo head. You got a Mustang. Dude, you're on a Mustang page. You should have one too. So that's a little bit of ranting. So I might just go that. Take off all these nice painted parts and just go with the stock heads and factory intake, and just, that's it. Because I figured 300 horsepower on this, that'd be a lot of fun of a car. Yeah, looks like it's not happening. So, yeah, that's lame. But, yep. Like, comment, subscribe.